My name is Alexandr Korol. This is the novel Alternative History. I am the protagonist of this book, as this novel is in the first person. In the previous video, I talked briefly about what was most important to me in the first volume. Although it is a very long story, and it was about aliens, about flying saucers, about sacred geometry, I decipher all of this and show how it all works, how it made, and it all is at the moment. But in this video, I want to talk about the second volume. The second volume of Alternative History is about the fact that I am beginning to learn what is time, and that it turns out that God is, in general, how everything works. That it turns out that God is someone outside of time, somewhere beyond where we live, and He comes back here as into the past to correct all this, and He comes back here as a spirit. But I approach it in such a way that these are all the technologies, and it turns out I am now. This is Him in the past. For Him, this is the past. It's Him in His youth, and now I've come up with the matrix, deciphered it, but with His help. And I understand that this technology can be used to make a flying saucer. That is a time machine. That is the flying saucer that everybody is talking about. It's a time machine. And these aliens are not some green men. It's us from the future. And they're correcting everything. And the bottom line is that what we're living in is a kind of a time loop. And Ouroboros, I'm starting to understand what it is. It's when you bite your own tail. I understand what the axis mundi, center of the world, you can Google what it is. And I'm starting to understand that I exist now. But everything is looped. And the me who is in the future, that is, he ended up creating this flying saucer. And everything that was in the past, before I came up with it now, he led me from the future to it as a spirit. And the spirit is also a technology. Like in X-Men, when you put on this helmet, it's like a cerebro, something like that. And the bottom line is that it's me in the future. He can also go to the past, like a spirit, and correct it all. Well, or a flying saucer, or rather, on time machine, he can come here. Turns out that all this adjustment and everything that has been done, especially all the time that I am alive, all this has been corrected by me from the future. That is, it has already been, and it will be like this again. And that's what the Spirit has led me to now, and I'm writing about it in the second volume of Alternative History. And how it all connects is incredible. And of course, you can't describe this in a 10-20 minute video. So I wrote the second volume about it, and now I'm working on the third volume, and it's a lot of information. A person should probably read these books several times to figure out what it is. But that's the deciphering of everything. This is the deciphering of everything. And then the Spirit leads me to decipher the revelation of John the Apostle. And I remember that there was also this cipher, this code somewhere. I'm starting to look for it all and decipher it. And in the end, I start deciphering the matrix. And it is precisely because I am in the Spirit, and the Spirit leads me and shows me how to decipher it, And today he led me, and yesterday he led me, and continues to lead me. And of course, time will pass, and everything will be different, but at the time when I deciphered this matrix and how the thrones looks, how the cherubim are depicted on it, there was no such information anywhere in the world when I Googled it recently. Of course, in the future, after my video, everyone will pick it up and pass it off as their own. There is nothing terrible about this. It is typical of people. But there's a certain paradox. In my book, in the second volume, Alternative History, and in the first volume as well, I explained that no scientist, no human being that is of our time can decipher this philosopher's stone, this matrix. Not because I think of myself as somebody. No, one can't, because by nature, because this matrix is inside a person. And the bottom line is that people's souls are only half-hearted, that is, pieces, because this light that enters them into their body spreads throughout people, and it's all one soul. Let's say there's a certain number of people. It's all one soul, and one person can't do it without these people, because he's just one part. And there are people who are whole when there is one soul and the light enters you, and you are like an individuality. And the bottom line is that the soul is not something that comes in and out. The soul is a body, a labyrinth through which light runs and is refracted, just like in precious gems, which I also studied and talked about it in my novel. And it turns out that in order for a person to be able to decipher this matrix, this philosopher's stone, he must have this matrix in him. That is, he must genetically have such a code where he has all this matrix. And it turns out that if a person is 70% developed, then he will decipher the matrix only by 70%. Since I know how the matrix spreads, why first is God, then there is Trinity, and then everything begins to grow. That is, I explain it all in my books, how this whole system is arranged and how the light that is spirit spreads through it. And in order for a scientist to be able to decipher this matrix, it is necessary to collect 7 scientists, 7 of their bodies, that is souls, and if you collect them all, 7 of them, then it will be one me, and then they will be able to decipher it. One scientist can't do it. That is, you need 7 of them, then maybe it will work. And then it takes 7 for them to die and to be born as one person into one soul with this matrix, and then this new person will be able to decipher the matrix. That's how it works. And people, of course, can watch my video, try to repeat it, maybe even find something interesting from some alchemical pictures, and everything will be beautifully made and everyone will be surprised by this. But a person still cannot decipher it until he has this code inside him. This code inside is essential. And I can show it again. That is, here is the cube. You need to look at it from the right angle, that is, here, like this. And also, if I show you, see, let's say, this upper side of the cube. Here, these lines, you see them? Wings of the cherub. Well, let's say if you draw a line like this, that this is the line, this is one wing, and this is the second wing. That is, it turns out, one wing and the second wing. 2 wings touching each other, pointing upwards. So it is written in one of the scriptures. And also, if you look at it from the right angle, if we take this side, then this triangle, this division, this is also the lower wing, which covers the legs of the cherub. And this lower wing covers the legs of the cherub. You can also take a side wing like this, here on the sides, for example, for those who need 6 wings, but it's not so important now. And so we have, especially at the bottom, it also turns out to be bull's feet, hooves. Hooves are when a triangle and a triangle you see, are connected. These are hooves. At the bottom, I talk about it in my book, Alternative History, the second volume. In order for them to shine like brass, it is necessary that more rays come from these angles. So here and there are sticks from all the corners. You need to make them. That is, I didn't decipher it all by eye, but I deciphered it so that no one could refute it. That is, I didn't fit it to anything known. I followed the way the Spirit led me. And I gave instructions in the book on how to decipher it correctly. There is no other way. Your human factor will deceive you. Therefore, it is necessary to follow the instructions that are given in my book. This book is freely available to download on my official website. Read it. So, when I made all these lines, that is, I depicted the cherubim. That is, here is one top wing, here is the second, here is the lower wing, and so on from all sides. Then it says, let me show you, that under the wing there are 4 hands. That is, 4 hands are what I depicted. You see, let's imagine this is the wing, this is another one, and under the wing there should be 4 straight arms. So it is said, under this wing, here is a wing, 4 hands. And I depicted them clearly as the Spirit showed me. That is, one hand, the second hand, the third hand, and I crossbar, and I did so on all the sides. The same way I made the feet, and I get it inside. If you see the rhomb, here it is, the rhomb. This is due to the fact that under the wings, upper and lower, I depicted 4 hands and 4 feet. If I could decipher it all. That's it. But that's only part of the matrix. Further on. Furthermore. Well, you get the idea. What we have here, you see, if we look at the right angle, like this, it's important to see the right angle of the cube. And in my previous videos where I deciphered the matrix, I showed all the icons where they put hands here like this. That is, in this matrix, that there is a manifestation on the icons that were against the background of this matrix, this way and that way. Here it is, and this is how they appeared against the background of this. That is, a lot of different backgrounds were used by this particular matrix. This cipher was encoded for the future, which will come when it comes, so that all people will decipher it and see it. I'm just giving you a hint. Let's move on. And inside this cube, when we made wings and made 4 hands and 4 feet, we have 2 tetrahedrons inside of it. And you can read what it is, although there are instructions in the book. And there's this triangle, you see it now, here and here. Well, these are 2 of them. There is upside down, yes? And inside the triangle, there is also a small triangle. It's hard to see in this video. Here, little one. Here and here in this point. This is also very important, small triangles and large ones. It's all very important, remember this for the future. They are there. Further, it is said in one of the sacred scriptures that there are 4 animals, 4 cherubs. These are just these triangles, small and the large. The little ones are animals, the big triangles are cherubs. Well, their faces. And I started to depict wheels. Well, it was written that they have wheels depicted, and wheel within a wheel. And I was in the Spirit and deciphered it and depicted these wheels in exactly the right way. And then the Spirit led me to look at the icons. And if you take this matrix, you can see that against the background of this matrix, there are lots of icons with this background. And now, I've already shown here is a manifestation here. It's in my last video. And here now, this cube, it doesn't have all the lines yet. Why do I have everything in stages? There is no such thing, no such task that is necessary to put everything in it. It's better to have many different models to see all these different layers. so that you can see everything. And here is a big cube, but it doesn't have small 24 cubes. Here I am already adding lines, you see? It's thicker here. And you can still add more lines, but I guess you'll just get confused and you will not understand anything in this video. Doesn't matter. Today the Spirit, well, for the past week, while I'm working on the third volume of Alternative History, do you know how he communicates with me? I described it in my novel. He, when necessary, in a song or in a movie, focuses my attention as if the volume has been turned up on some phrase. I went to bed a couple of days ago. The movie is just some kind of comedy. And in the background, I am asleep and I hear someone talking about the burning bush. It's an icon. Bush. And the next day, I turn on the 1997 movie Contact with Matthew McConaughey, and they are talking about the burning bush again. I realize, and I didn't make it here on purpose, and I realize that this is probably needs to be shown to you all as well. And here everything is further deciphered in such a format that we need to take into account that all this should develop as a fractal. And this is the rhombus that is inside. There should be a throne in it, inside it. And since we have a big throne, it should also have the rhombus. And therefore, from here, there must be a point. From here, there must be a point from here. And if you add this now, then look at it at the correct angle, it will turn out like this, and there will be a point sticking out here. Then you will get the burning bush. The burning bush. You can read what it is. You can read what it is, but in fact, so that you understand, the burning bush is almost a little bit unripe. You just need to glue a little bit here, draw it. And then, what is interesting is that the Spirit also wants to hint at what I will have in the third volume of Alternative History. This is after studying what the burning bush and this matrix are. If I suddenly interest someone in this, then read what the Star of Bethlehem is. This is what it looked like, why it appeared, and think about why all gods were born on December 25th. There is this sacred language, and I reveal all of these sacred things in my first and second novels of Alternative History. And in the third novel, next year, I'll continue to explore this. Why December 25th? And I know it's all a matrix. Matrix and degrees. I hope I got you interested in this video so that you can read my first and second volumes as soon as possible. By then, I'll have prepared the third volume of Alternative History. Thank you for your attention. Feel free to write comments. Download the book. It is available for free on my website. If you have a chance to share this video, to show it to someone, I will be very grateful, because I'm making this video in order to make a movie adaptation of my novel, Alternative History. Because my novel has everything, an explanation of everything, just from my author's point of view, from a different angle of perception. And the fact that many of the geometrical shapes are familiar to you, yes, all the geometrical shapes here are familiar to you, but no one knew how to glue them all together and assemble them, you know? And people who are superficial, they'll say, so what's new here? Well, that's a square. Well, that's a cube. Well, something else. Someone will say that this is metatron that we drew. Yes, well, you didn't even know how you can depict the flower of life that you can see here. You just looked at all these pictures. They're scattered all over the internet. Yes, humanity has been coming across these symbols all of its life, but you must understand from which bush it came, that this is a twig, a cross, and this bush grew, and all these fruits inside. And metatron is also very interesting, because when I hypothesized that if I created a time machine and then I am from the future communicating with myself, then I do it through some kind of technology, what I call this cerebro. This is the spirit. And then I Google and read that there is such a thing, metatron. It turns out that metatron is the thing, this technology through which God returns to the past and communicates. And meta, it's because this word is very relevant now, because now this whole technology will be invented. Do you see how everything is connected? It is, it was, and it will be. I was, I am, and coming. That's why Metatron. Bye-bye, everyone.